Part 2 of the Holy Cow. Talk to O's ex-BF. It was so nice to talk to someone directly related to the situation who could confirm that my suspicions were not crazy or unfounded. He said he's felt the same way as I have concerning H and O's relationship and had even confronted O about it while he was still dating her. Interestingly enough, O broke up with her BF a week after I moved out of my and H's home. O's ex-BF also said that many of the people he works with and his friends have had the same suspicion as the both of us had. Like me, he doesn't think, hopes it hasn't become a PA. Neither of us have caught anyone in the act, as all both of us is a lot of circumstantial evidence. But he does agree with me that it is definitely, and that is not fair to either one of us. O's ex-BF said he plans on confronting my H tonight, since he and H are supposed to be friends. Said that even if my H doesn't admit it, at least the ex-BF will at least feel better being able to speak his piece and let H know how messed up it is for a friend to do that to another friend. Ex-BF said he'll get up with me after he talks with H if he hears anything new. Ex-BF also said he was going to talk to O about it too, but I could care less what she has to say, and ex-BF said O would most likely lie about anything and do what she could cover her tracks. You know, I was honestly hoping that maybe H and I could find a way to get through all this crap eventually. That time we could both learn from our mistakes, move on, and we could both grow together stronger, but I fear after contacting ex-BF my H will never speak to me again and all hopes of any possible rare out the window. Hey, even Rocky had his bad days. Even after talking with O's ex-BF, I was surprised I was still missing H and hurting that it's no longer me but the O that is his priority now. I proceeded to write a numbered list, numbering and expressing every way H has let me down, lied to me, every crappy thing he has done since we separated. In a short time, I had 35 items on that list, and not one was a repeat. Trust me, I checked. 35 times H has been a trash, and that's just in 29 days. I have yet to start chronicling all the lame crap from before I moved out. In anticipation of the pages it would take to list said lame crap, I then flipped about 30 pages forward in the journal and began to just write everything in my head. My thoughts about the day, my thoughts on the convo with O's ex-BF, the helpful comments and advice I get from you guys here, what I want to do with my life and how I plan on dealing with all this crud. Weekend update. Took my mother out for an amazing dinner Friday night. Figured the both of us deserve it. Saw H on the road on our way to the restraint and I did not look his way. My mom was cute though and asked if I wanted her to give him the finger. I told her I appreciated the thought but no, he wasn't worth it, and asked her just to ignore him, too, which she did. Got to love your protective mamas. Said a morning, I did text H and asked if he ever planned on getting $key and remote to me. He replied that he did, but he was still saving up enough money to give to me but would drop key and remote off either right before he went to work or right after he got there. I asked that it be before as I had plans for the evening. H replied he was having to get his car fixed so he wasn't sure what time he would make it. Well, that turned into him not showing up, calling or texting at all. Am I surprised? No. Am I pissed? No. What am I, you ask? Amused. I find the whole situation very comical as I only see it as him being chicken crap. He's proving to me what a coward he is that he can't even come and drop and damn key off. Seriously, whatever. As you can see, I did not let it ruin my night. I went out chilling with some guys I work with and had the best night, and I don't even know how long. I can't even remember the last time I laughed so much, so long and so hard. It was just a great time being out there with people who knew me and the situation and just let me be me. One of the reasons I love coming here, too. We had an okay night of fishing. We got 6 flounders, total 4 of which I gaffed. I dubbed myself the flounder queen while the guys joked about who got to walk in the water next to me so I could help them spot the fish. I must say, and to those of you out there that are against hunting and fishing, and there's nothing wrong with that, that's your choice. But I am all for it, so you might want to quit reading. There is something very therapeutic in picturing your H's face on a flounder right before you shove a spear through that fish. The guys told me before we headed out on the water that I'd feel better after I killed some crap, and boy, they were right. Spent yesterday recouping from the night before, got back to the dock at 2:30 a.m., wasn't in bed till 4 a.m. Was quite sore from walking miles and miles through knee-deep water, holding a spotlight and climbing in and out of the boat. Did text H and told him I had some things I needed to discuss face-to-face with him this week if possible. Was thinking I'd be nice and give him a heads up about me filing for legal separation as well as looking into suing O for alienation of affection. God bless my state's antiquated laws. But whatevs. And once again got no reply. I took to my journal. I've been trying to write in it at least a few times a week, and every day I do seem to add to my things I hate about H list. Also very therapeutic. I added the following. H is no longer my H, just some guy I'm married to. I don't even know this man anymore. He's become a lying, deceptive, self-righteous, well, he was always self-righteous, person who preaches empathy but fails practice it. He has become a man who screws over his friends and wife with no regard of the pain he inflicts. He's purely narcissistic, and that is not the man I married. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I was literally starting my car to go talk to STBX. As you can tell, it was a very short convo. I got my things. He still doesn't have the remainder of his monthly debt payment to me. Says he'll have it in the next few days. I told him the reason I was there was to let him know I would be meeting with a lawyer in the next week to begin the process of filing for LS. He needed to smoke after I said that. Outside he was quiet for a bit, then explained that he'd put some of his belongings on Craigslist to sell to get me my $sign. After we finished smoking, we went back inside. I told him unless he had anything to say that I said what I needed to tell him, that I didn't think it was an appropriate thing to discuss over the phone and therefore wanted to tell him to his face. He asked me what I wanted him to say and I told him nothing. He walked me outside and I asked if he'd be getting up with me Friday about the $sign, which he said yes. I said okay and got in my car. He just leaned against his roommate's car and said nothing. Just watched me go. I didn't get emotional while I was there. I stayed calm and detached. I said nothing about the O. I did ask him if he got my key, which he said yes, and that it took him a while to get the gum off his windshield. Since I've gotten home, I've only shed one tear, but I'll admit that I currently feel as if I'm holding back a dam full of them. I took to my journal list and added number 45. When I told him I would be filing for LS, he didn't even fight for me. He had nothing to say. I hurt so bad right now. It's almost as if my heart has been broken again, though I will admit it's nowhere near as bad as when it first happened the day I moved out. I just don't understand how someone I gave my life, my love, my all could so easily let me go. It's not supposed to happen like this. After all the crap he's put me through, everything, not just the EA, possible PA, it's supposed to be me that watches him leave. I'm supposed to be happy to rid my life of that pain, but instead here I am, tears streaming down my face. Sorry, I'm trying my best to hold them back, feeling like a huge piece of me has been ripped out of me. I hate this. Why do I love him so much? Why does he care so little? Life is so not fair. Sometimes it just downright sucks. I want to find that person you speak of who will stay on the roller coaster with me, and I keep telling myself that one day I will, after I have healed and learned from this experience and have bettered myself. I know they're out there and one day we will find each other. Some tears are still here this morning. I think some of them are from last night, but the others are from being so touched by the kind words that I found here this morning from you and others. Thank you, again. I know what I have to do. I have a lot of pain over him, the relationship, and a bit from my past PA. With the PA, I do think since coming here I have taken giant steps towards forgiving myself for that, and that's thanks to people like you, but I have to let it go. I need to let it go and take pride in the fact that I took what I was dealt and gave my all to better every aspect of it. I gave it my best, and that's all anyone can expect to give. I will rise. It may be slowly, it may take some time. I will rise. I will dust myself off and get back in the ring. My future and well-being lie in no one else's hands but mine. STBX may want to reconcile one day and he may not. Either way, it does me no good whatsoever to wait around on him. It's time for me to live completely for myself and check those emotions at the door. It's time for me to keep on keeping on. So, STBX did email me last night about 20 minutes after I left. He said he didn't know what to say while I was there and still didn't. He doesn't want to see me hurting, and not being with me hurts him, too. He's not sure where to go with this. Said he didn't think being in a relationship with me when he wasn't there 100% with his feelings is worse than separation. More on that to follow. Stated, as I had said in a previous letter, that I did not force him to marry me. He married me because he wanted to and doesn't regret it. That for the most part we were really happy, and he's sorry he craps all over that as it wasn't his intention. Says he is doing me a disservice by staying in a relationship with me with the doubts he has. That he knows nothing he can say will make it better, that his first instinct is to hold me and try and make everything better, but he can't do that. The thought of me in pain kills him, and he wished he could have been the H I had intended him to be. He says he's not sure how to piece any of this together. That the news of ALS hurts, but he chose this path and has to deal with its consequences. Says for what it's worth he apologizes, and he never meant for things to end up this way. I did respond, which I'm sure I'll catch hell for. I asked if he typed the not thinking being in a relationship with me when he can't be there 100% and his feelings is worse than ALS. I told him it would be a while before we'd be able to file for D, as I'm not sure what day the courts go by here, the day I moved out or the day I file ALS. Told him, as I have stated before, that I will not stand idly by waiting for him to choose between another girl, life, and me. Nor did I deserve to be treated that way. I told him again that if before D was final, he decided he wanted to be my H again, we could possibly discuss it, but to know that I am moving on just as he is. I closed it telling him that the really painful thing is the realization that I don't even feel as if I know him anymore. That he is not my H, just some guy I'm married to. He responded by editing his comment to, I think being in a relationship with you when I can't be there 100% in my feelings is worse than the separation. So that, ladies and gents, is where it stands. I'm going total NC except for collecting my debts payments from him and possible interactions concerning the LS. We still have our car insurance combined. Yes, I'm going to have to look into getting that split up, too. Well, put in a call and left a message for lawyer I want this afternoon. Looks like I've got this LS ball rolling, folks. Now she just needs to call me back. To be honest, I'm not sure if it's strength or rage that plows me ahead right now. Like I told you earlier, only the person themselves can decide how much they can and will take. It takes two people to make a marriage work, and looking back I now realize that I was the only one clocking in, so to speak, for a long time. I gave that man-child my life, my love, my all, and this is how he repays me. So, I refuse to let him make me feel like a fool any longer, especially when I never deserved this. Please don't get me wrong, there is still a piece of me that hopes for R, but I'm preparing myself for the reality that I see as inevitable. I do this because it helps protect me and makes me feel like I'm taking power over my own life by no longer letting him string me along. And I'd be lying if I didn't say that hope it serves as a wake-up call to him. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't. Either way, I'm an awesome chick who deserves better than this guy has given me. And if he won't give me the love and adoration I deserve, then I can continue to move on and hopefully find the man that will. I know there's a part of him that will always be hurt over my PA. Over the years he would occasionally make a snide comment to me about it. When the current crap hit the fan, I made the comment to him that I believed what was happening was my deserved karma for what I had done. He told me that my PA had nothing to do with it, but did admit that my PA had caused him issues he was still dealing with. Why did I pursue the PA? If so, I pursued it because at that time, and a long time leading up to it, I felt that H was totally neglecting me. I voiced my concerns of him seeming to never have time to spend with me while he would be busy going out with friends or having his friends over the house to the wee hours of the morning. Don't get me wrong, I support having and hanging out with friends outside of the marriage, but this felt as if he was purposefully trying to exclude me. He also neglected all his portions of duties around the house, as in just stopped doing anything. I also felt as if he heaped all financial responsibilities onto me, not providing with his portion of bill payments, etc. I pretty much felt as if I was nothing more than a bank for him. Then an IA began with a coworker who gave me the attention I was desperately seeking, and after about 5 months of an IA it progressed into a PIA, which lasted about a month before H found out. Upon him finding out about it, I ended things with the coworker ending up leaving the company shortly after. H moved out the day he found out about my IA and was gone for 3 months. We spoke during that time and worked on our issues, or so I thought, and he returned home. Lawyer just contacted me. Meeting with her is set for Monday at 9:30 a.m. Was told everything should be really cut and dry, seeing as how we own no property together and had no kids. Guess they don't count the pup. Well, I won't tell the pup that. While hurricane came through this weekend, she hasn't entirely left yet. We didn't even experience real hurricane conditions or anything. It's been more like a nor'easter, and not even a bad one at that. I go to the lawyers this morning and lo and behold, they're closed. No call or nothing. I am ticked since I took time off work to go do this, and like I said, it's not even a bad storm. I mean, geez, the local Christmas shop is open. How come the lawyer isn't? Once I calm down, I'm going to put in a call and leave a message saying I came, I saw and got nothing done, but in a lot nicer terms. Did break down, no tears or anything like that. I guess just thinking about the lawyer, and texted STBX yesterday and asked if he honestly thought there was hope for us. He said he didn't know and that he didn't want to have the convo over text. I told him I wasn't ready to have that discussion face to face, which he said he understood. He then just kept telling me to be safe in the storm because it turned out to be a lot worse than he thought, and to let him know when I wanted to talk. So yeah, I kind of took a step back. But I'm still going to meet with the lawyer. I spent the rest of the night envisioning my own personal Prince Charming, who is totally not my H, more so some imaginary guy in my mind, who would never do the douchey things STBX did, loves me for who I am and who I totally can't keep my hands off of. Hey, a girl can dream, right? Well, had to leave work early cause the wind switched to the west and the road out of the town was flooding over. So hopefully things will be better in the morning. We've been separated since last month. I don't know what to think about him being open to talking about things. It makes me feel good, but on the other hand it doesn't, if that makes sense. I'm not getting my hopes up or anything. I'm continuing with business as usual. I just don't see him ending his friendship with O. For things to progress with us, he'd have to end all contact and find another job for me to feel comfortable. And knowing him, I just don't see that happening. He has a serious lack of motivation with anything. So yeah, for now I'll continue with my daydreams of Ryan Hurst. I'd rather have the talk and know and be certain it's over and done with, rather than having some small fleeting hope that maybe it might work. If I knew 100% that our marriage was irretrievable, I think that fleeting voice would carry her a $, and I could totally be at peace with moving on, since I would have no questions unanswered. I guess I'm looking for closure. I'm trying not to get my hopes up about closure. I'd really rather it just be him man up and telling me either yeah, we can work on this, or no, done is done. I have come a long way in forgiving myself for my A, and I'm also working hard on trying to forgive him. That will take some time though. I believe I could more easily forgive if their relationship was about bonding, but it being emotional, that really stings, especially since it started soon after he put a ring on my finger and took his vows. Either way, I continue to work on myself, and this discussion between us will not happen for a few weeks. Right now I am incapable of even looking at him, so it's going to take some time. Well, it seems STBX has another hurdle to jump. He has 2 jobs, one is seasonal and is about to end very soon. His other job appears to have flooded in the storm. Not sure how bad, but before high tide last night someone sent me a pic of STBX's workplace, and it looked as if there was water inside, and that pic was taken before 2 more high tides. I sent pic to STBX and asked if he had seen it and got no reply, which I usually don't when he's hanging out with O. I would be lying if I said a part of me wasn't thinking that this is some sort of karma for the both of them, but mostly, I do feel bad for him. O can go to hell. I know how devastated I would be if my workplace had been flooded and damaged in the storm. I don't know what I would do. In other news, I have yet to hear back from lawyer, not sure when to accept to either, as some parts of the town are impassable due to flooding caused by major ocean overwash. Hopefully lawyer made it out okay. I know her office is financed is highly elevated, and I was there peering into the empty office yesterday morning. Speaking from my own personal experience, when I had my years before we were married, I had no shame. I blamed all my problems on STBX and thought myself justified in my actions. It took me a long time to realize that I was just running away from my problems instead of confronting them like a person should. And having no shame, I had no guts either. I feel now that if I had the audacity to do such a hurtful thing, I should have the guts to be upfront about what I was doing. And I suppose I thought I did hate him at the time, but I didn't. I now see that deep down I hated myself at the time for what a coward I had become. If any of that makes any sense at all. Well, the good-natured side of me won out yesterday afternoon, and I texted STBX telling him I was sorry about his year-round job getting flooded out in the storm, and asked if the owner was going to keep the employees on to clean it up after the county figures out how to get all the flood water out of there. Owners having employees do clean up is a typical thing where we live, as it keeps the employees working so owners don't have to lay them off and face higher UI taxes. He said no one had called him, but he had heard the owner was planning on hiring a cleaning company. I asked if the storm at least generated some work for his other job, to which he replied that it did, but most of the work is oceanside and totally inaccessible for the time being because of flooding and roads being washed out. STBX then went on to tell me how he only had a little over $100 and needed to put minutes on his phone or it would run out, that rent was due in 2 days, as is the water bill. As I said yesterday, I do feel bad for the dude. So, I offered advice telling him the rent had a 5-day grace period and the water could be paid late with the addition of a small penalty fee. He spoke of selling more of his things to get the money and apologized for not having paid me his entire debt payment this month. That he was really trying, and once he got back in working steady at his seasonal job, he should be able to get back on his feet. I then stupidly offered to loan him $60 till Friday when he gets paid. I spent 10 years being GF, wife and mother. It's a hard to break habit that I obviously still need to keep working on. I also told him I wanted to go over a few things concerning the separation agreement before it got put in writing, and about how my appointment with the lawyer got canceled. I guess seeing as how they still haven't called me back, cause of the storm. He texted back to just let him know when I wanted to talk. I tried texting back to tell him it could be handled over the phone, but my phone was being wonky. Only with him though, it was texting. Calling everyone else just fine. Maybe my phone was trying to give me a sign. Either way, the text would not go through to him, so I called and left a message on his phone when I got out of work. I was surprised that my voice was so chipper when leaving said message concerning the separation agreement. Well, I never heard anything back from him. I don't know if his phone did get cut off, if it was because of the cell problems we're having down here cause of the storm, or if he just plain didn't call me back. I suspect the latter. I didn't let him piss me off though. If anything, I got pissed with myself for offering to help him, which totally makes no sense to me, as a part of me had been anticipating being able to relish the moment he fell flat on his face when I wasn't there to help him. As far as the lawyer, I have no idea what is up. I've called and left messages, and I'm assuming they have yet to open back up after the storm. I know I could always contact another lawyer, but I was thinking, we don't own any property together or have any kids. Now, the state I live in is an equal equity state though. What I was thinking of my writing up my own separation agreement detailing his debt to me and payments to be made, saying that both of us are satisfied with the possessions we have retained since me leaving, stating he would never come after me for alimony, spousal support, or my earnings, have him and I both give up any rights to each other's vehicles. Like I said, it's an equal equity state, therefore even though his name is not on the title of my right, he's still entitled to half of it if he gets a wild hair up his bum. I however have no interest in the death trap he drives. Also have it state that neither one of us is responsible for any debt incurred after my date of leaving, and also including that it would fine if either of us chose to date. Not that I want to date, be with anyone else right now or for the foreseeable future, but I'd like to have the option if someone very special arises. In my state, the separation agreement alone runs anywhere from $900 to $1,400 through a lawyer, and I do know you can add the addendum that the other is responsible for half the fee, but what good is that when dude can't even come up with his own rent money? The divorce itself will run you even more. It's the norm around here to have to put down at least a $3,000 retainer for the divorce. Damn beach price gouging, I tell you. Once anything comes across our bridge, the price goes up 200% of its normal value no matter what it is. Hint to all, unless you're a millionaire, never live on an island. So STBX was supposed to contact me Tuesday evening to go over some stuff with the LS agreement. Never heard from him. So, I texted him yesterday reminding him, to which he replies that he was at work at that moment but would call me later to go over it. Never heard from him again. Am I surprised? No. I once read on here about exes to not trust anything they say and to only trust about 70% of their action, and this just keeps going through my head. So, what's it means when he pretty much lies to me in our convos then proceeds to do nothing? That he's a big immature man-child. I'm frustrated because one of the reasons STBX gave me for him needing space was so he could man up and take care of his responsibilities. Well, he's obviously gotten nowhere in that department. But on the bright side of things, I am getting to go out with a really nice guy tonight. Not a date, just hanging out with a friend, for some sushi and drinks and talk, which will be totally different than the STBX sitting across from me at a restaurant with his head shoved up his bottom that I've become accustomed to over the last 10 years, so I am excited for that. Honestly, even the thought of a relationship with anyone scares the poo out of me right now. I have a lot of issues I need to work through with myself right now to become a better person for myself. I've known this guy for a while. We work in the same industry, so that's how we met, and that'll give us some stuff to talk about. Plus, he knows what's going on with me and man-child, so he knows to stay away from that subject. I'll admit I am scared that I'll go off on some crazy rant about the man-child, especially after the update I'm about to post, but I believe I can make the conscious decision not to let man-child ruin my night. All thoughts of him will be set aside. Sent an email to man-child this morning saying what info I needed from him for the LS. He called me shortly after saying I could have just told him I needed to talk to him. What the hell? I did that. Which of course, I told him I had, then he was all oh. Must have slipped my mind. Anyways, I told him I said all I needed in the email, which was about getting a list together of all the property he was keeping and listing the current value of those things, which he was cool with at first. In the email I also told him it would be easier just to generate something rather than having a lawyer do it due to the expense of the lawyer, and both of us being responsible for half the cost. At that he balked, saying he couldn't afford to pay for a lawyer, so I explained our other options of drafting something and having it notarized. He seemed cool with that. I then told him that was all I needed. Well, he then started getting all defensive, saying repeatedly that he didn't see a need for the LS anyways, that he had no intention of screwing me over. I informed him that this is something I want to protect myself and to make sure he didn't come after me at a later date for alimony or spousal support. He kept saying there is no need for the LS, that he wouldn't screw me over, and I just lost my temper. I didn't yell or anything like that. I just told him that I no longer trust him, nor do I know who he is anymore or what he's capable. To which he started saying that he's never screwed me over. Wrong thing for him to say at that moment. I then replied by telling him he screwed me over in our marriage by leaving me and running into the arms of since she's almost 10 years younger than him. I should have just hung up on him a long time beforehand, but I foolishly let him get the better of me. After a bit more bickering, I calmly told him that the LS is something that I want and to please get me the info ASAP. He said we would, just not tonight, as he had to go over to his mother's. I think this is BS. He's supposedly been over to his mom's 3 times in the last week, a place he never wanted to go while we were married, cause his family is all drama. But you know, whatever, his social calendar is no longer my concern, but he would try to get to it this weekend. I told him thank you and hung up. This exchange was a few hours ago. I've calmed down considerably since then. I know I need to get my focus off of him, but at the same time I just keep asking myself, where does this dude get off? So, we did decide to not go with the lawyer since neither of us have the money for one right now, and having no children and only a couple of cysts acquired since marriage, and instead are going with a document I've gotten of the net. Today I will work on filling it out during my downtime at work. I just need STBX to give me a time when he's free to be able to meet and get it notarized. I am so stoked right now, you don't even know. My comment, are you rooting for her divorce? Or you believe she deserves this? I'm working on the final ending as you watch this. See you in the final end.